Thanks so much to all my patrons. Join now to help support the channel and help pick the books I review on this channel. Link in the description. So it is the last day of the month. Well, it is for me. It's not for you. It takes me 2 days to edit and then post these things, so you'll be getting this one about 2 days late. But for me, it is the last day of the month, and that means it's time for my May recap video. I'm going to be giving you, as always, a little bit of a life update, talk about my channel updates, go over the channel and reading stats, and a recap of the books that I read this month. So for life updates, yeah, this month was nuts. This is a wild month. So both my kids, they go to the same elementary school, and they just finished up a week and a half ago on, no, a little less than that, about exactly a week ago, they finished up school. And that was just kind of wild because we were winding up the softball and the t-ball that I was coaching in a flurry of games that were like makeup games because it was raining randomly in California later than it should have in the year. So then all these makeup games at the end of the season, and then we're wrapping up school and then planning for a vacation and getting the kids into summer camp. And so it's been wild. But yeah, they're in summer camp, which is horrible because it's like the same thing for me, right? Like they go all day to this camp because my wife and I both work full time. But instead of the school massively subsidizing their after school care like they do right now, because they go to the after school care at the school and it costs like nothing. Now I have to spend like more money than my mortgage on summer care for these kids, but they have fun, so whatever. It's only a portion of the year, which. Ugh. But yeah. And then we went on vacation. We went to Disneyland for 6 days, which is an obscenely long amount of time. We were only in the park for 4 days, but 2 of the days were travel days. We decided to drive this time. So we live in Northern California. Disneyland is in Southern California, and California is a very large state. So we live nowhere near the northern tip of California. We're out in the Sacramento area, which is more central than northern, but it took us... It's about 6.5 hours to drive straight there, but it took more like 8 because they're kids and they stop all the time. But yeah, that's a lot of driving. And so yeah, we were exhausted after the first day, then did Disneyland and then California Adventure and then Disneyland and then California Adventure. California Adventure is like the other half of Disneyland, which is more like Marvel and Pixar and that kind of stuff. So that was awesome. It's exhausting though. I feel like I need a vacation after the vacation. Because it's just, you walk like 15 miles a day. That's nuts. In the heat. And then the kids get tired and you have to hold them. And yeah, it's wild. But it's all worth it because the kids just have such a fun time. And it is really, really, really fun watching that magic in their eyes. And the fun. And then for my youngest one, who's 5, watching him kind of come out of his shell and like the scary rides and have a blast was just a really fun experience. So yeah, I seem stuck into going to Disneyland every year now. Everyone in my family loves it so much. I grew up not going to Disneyland or theme parks in general. We did like camping and backpacking and random trips, and that's more my style. But my wife has said that nothing is stopping us from going on multiple vacations a year, but one of them will be Disneyland. So that's what we're doing. So yeah, the Discord server, as always, continues to blossom. If you're not over there, you should be. It's where the community all hangs out in between me making videos, and I would love to have you there. We're now above 3,000 people. Just above 3,000. It's gained about 100 this past month. I would love you to join now. The Discord this month just finished up a buddy read, which is like an online book club of The Pariah by Anthony Ryan. These buddy reads are a ton of fun. We read like 40, 45 pages a day, have a discussion about the chapters. Dozens of people are involved. And yeah, we do that every month. I will announce tomorrow what the book for June is going to be. And so that should be great. And yeah, so the video games that I played this month, I play a lot of video games. And for the past like 6 months, I've told you that I keep playing this game SnowRunner. I'm still playing it. And there's like endless amounts of DLC for this thing that I have, and it's just so much fun because it's one of those games you can just like shut off your brain and just do it, and then you can listen to audiobooks in the background and not lose anything out of those. So it's just a wonderful experience. I did branch out and play a couple more games this month, though. I played another, 10 hours or so of Crusader Kings 3, like another playthrough with a new character in the, I did a Byzantine run as starting in the time of the 𝐒𝐮𝐲, and yeah, that was fun. Got boring a little bit though. Starting as a Byzantines is like a cheat code, so my family started to take over the world pretty quickly, so it started to get a little boring. But I'm also starting up now playing Psychonauts 2. Played Psychonauts 1 as a kid, loved it, and I've had Psychonauts 2 for a while, just never got around to playing it. So booting it up, a lot of fun, but that's a game you have to focus. Can't listen to audiobooks, so it's really, I don't spend as much time on that one as I might otherwise be able to. So my reading stats for the month, they were low, much lower than in the past because of my vacation. I did like no reading while I was on vacation. I read only 6 books, but that was 4,300 pages. And so that's still a lot of pages, but not nearly the amount of books that I normally read. This brings me to 47 books on the year, so well above my pace for getting 100 books a year, well above my pace for getting 50,000 pages a year, because I'm currently at 19,000 pages. And yeah, so we're moving along. We're trucking. My average score for books this year is now at 3.76, which is that's a number I'm comfortable with. My views this month were 133,000, which was down 14,000. My hours watched this month was 13,500, which is up 1,000. And my subs this month were 872, which is about the same. My number one video was, with 18,000 views, was my top 10 favorite fantasy series of all time and my update for 2024. My number 2 video with about 16,000 views was how to get your ebooks for free, which is a video I made about a year ago, but it's just perpetually stuck in the algorithm, which is cool for me. I don't know if it's actually that great. It's always nice having a video that does well. I mean, this is by far my most successful video of all time. It's got well over 100,000 views now, but it's not bringing in the right types of viewers to my channel, because what it's doing is it's attracting people that are interested in ebooks and libraries. Only a small subsection of those are into fantasy books. So I get these people subscribing to my channel that aren't necessarily into fantasy books. And so these people are subbed, which on the front, cool, more subs, that's good, right? Except then they don't watch my other videos, and that brings down the algorithm for my future videos. So it's like this short-term gain for a long-term loss, because then they're just not gonna watch my stuff. And the algorithm is very complicated. I could spend a long time talking about it. I've done a ton of research into it. But in short, it's feeding your viewers' videos and doing a test run and seeing how well they like your video. And then it's slowly kind of drip feeding that video out if that video is successful among a number of different metrics. And so if my own subscribers are not clicking on the link, then it's going to bring down the other videos. So whatever. Let's move on. And my number 3 video with 8,000 views was my video called The Golden Age of Epic Fantasy Is Not Over. All right, so let's move on to the books that I read this month. The first book that I read is The Reigns of Liscor. This was the 6th or 7th book in the Wandering Inn series by 𝗂𝗏. I predicted a 5. I gave it a 5. And that's not a very adventurous guess of mine, because I've given almost all of these books 5s. I only gave one book a 4 out of 5. And that was several books back now. And I'm just in love with the series. It's turning into truly an all-time great for me. Every book is somehow just feels so familiar and new, but at the same time new and fresh. And it's wild to me that 𝗂𝗏 is able to pull this off. You get these books that are a multitude of different genres within the same book. In this one, there was a heavy dose of like epic fantasy, heavy dose of horror, war elements to it, which is not normal for this series. This book series has a lot of slice of life to it. It's got this huge world building aspect, but it rarely touches on those grand epic moments. And what that does is it makes it so when those moments do happen, they mean a lot more. And I appreciate this book way more because it did something new and unique and big, and I would dislike if the next book tried to match it, right? I want a lull now. I want things to calm down before they plateau again. But this book series is just doing a wonderful job at it, and I'm just eternally surprised at how wonderful the quality is here. And it's wonderful. It's a really cool feeling to watch all of you obviously not all of you, but a large amount of you that are picking up this series because of these videos. This is the first time I feel like I've ever, very often when I recommend a book to people, I get people saying like, oh, cool, I'm going to try it now. And then a little less common, but still common, is people saying, hey, I read the book, I loved it, and thank you. And that's like the greatest feeling to me. But I've never before had this mass amount of people telling me things like, I never would have tried this if I didn't watch your videos. I'm now caught up to the series, which is like 3 or 4 times the length of the Wheel of Time, way further than I am, way further. And it's just literally, I feel like 100+ people have told me that story, and that's cool. And seeing other channels start to get into this, and it's certainly possible, if not likely, that they would have done those videos if not for my video. So I can't like take credit for that by any means, but it's cool watching me kind of get on board of this train and seeing it blossom quickly afterwards. Again, a lot of that, most of it, maybe all of it, has literally nothing to do with my channel, but it is nonetheless fun to watch this kind of explosion kind of happen going on while I'm in the midst of it, and it's a wonderful, cool experience. I want more people to get involved in it because it's just a very special series to me. Then I read The Emperor's Blades. This is book 1 of the Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne by Brian Staveley. I predicted a 4. I gave it a 3. This was a tough one for me because I really was liking this book as I was reading it. It's got these really cool concepts. It's multi-POV. I was really vibing with the multiple POVs. And I liked the general feel of the story and where it was going. And it was very cool also because I don't hear anybody talking about this. And I love way more getting into series that are unknown so that I can help promote them and help authors that need the help than me falling in love with a series that is already massively popular. Now, selfishly for me, both of those are fun, right? But I also I love to help people, and I don't want to ever lie. So finding a series that is not big, that I can just throw all of the praise in the world at, is just a great experience. And I really thought I was going to be able to do it here, and I just can't. I'm sure it's for a ton of people, and I did like a lot of elements to it. But just as the story went along, I just became less and less interested in what was going on. And at no point did I ever consider DNFing the book. But at no point after the beginning was I really that thrilled about the book. And that's disappointing. Next up was The Warrior Prophet. This is book 2 of the Prince of Nothing series by R. Scott Baker. I predicted a 5. I gave it the easiest 5 I'm ever going to give. And I'm giving this the best book that I read this month. This thing is just incredible. It's incredible. I can't do it justice in the couple minutes I have here devoted to talking about it. Because in literally every facet, this book is just amazing. The only thing that the book doesn't do, and it's very, very much on purpose, is giving you that nice feeling that a lot of books give you. This does nothing of that. It gives you a very horrific feeling. And because nothing is good in this world, it is the darkest, bleakest, most grimdark of books that I've ever read. And I loved it. But I never enjoyed what I was reading. I was fascinated by it. I couldn't put it down. But it was a very, very horrific feeling through a vast majority of this. And I think if I read a lot of books that were like that, it would be horrific and my life would be bad. But the fact that that is the exception to the rule, where almost everything I read has this uplifting, fun aspect to it, even the books that are more grimdark, like a Joe Abercrombie book, still has things that make me smile and laugh. This had none of that, but because it's so unique and so different, and sets itself so far apart, and it constantly braids you with these philosophical insights that are so well done. It's just this perfect tone that matches this world and tells this incredibly, incredibly epic tale that I can't stop thinking about it. And I cannot wait to read the final book in this trilogy sometime later on this year. Then I read World Without End. This is the second book in the Kingsbridge series by Ken Follett, right? Am I saying that right? I think last time I said Follett and people got mad. I kind of want to piss people off and say Follett, even though I know it's not that. But let's go Follett. I'm going to guess Follett. Let's hope for the best here. It's got to be Follett, right? And yeah, this is a historical fiction. So this is part of my Matt's historical fiction reviews. My full review is not going to be coming out for a couple more days after you've seen this video. So I don't want to talk too much about this right now. It'll be one of the very few videos that I'm doing not immediately following the book. I've not even filmed this yet. Because I finished it while I was in Disneyland, and I just couldn't bring it to me to do my thing and get a camera out because I was just exhausted. Or I was at the park and couldn't like record a video while I'm walking around. And by the time I got back to my hotel late at night, it's just like hit the bed, fall asleep, wake up in the morning, do it again, and no time. So yeah, I will not say much, but I will keep it very brief and say this is incredible. I thought it would be a 4.5 out of 5. I give it a 5. It's the second best book that I read this month, and the best surprise, because I've heard a pretty unanimous opinion from people that while the second book is good, it's not nearly as good as the first. That's not true. The second book is every bit as good as the first book, at least for me. It's extremely similar to the first book. It's got the same rhythm to it, eerily similar. And so I didn't like it as much as the first one. But if I read these in reverse order, I would have liked this one more because the second one would have felt samey. But that doesn't mean one is necessarily better than the other one. But yeah, they have this, and I'll talk a lot more about it in my review, but they've got this rhythm to it that is, on one hand, so satisfying because Follett just figured out the formula to get you hooked into something. And the formula is, and it's a formula I think George R.R. Martin does really well with A Song of Ice and Fire, although George varies it up a lot more. But the formula is whenever you think something bad is going to happen, something good happens. And whenever you think something good is going to happen, something bad happens. And that keeps you constantly on your toes and surprised. And it balances things so well. But the problem, and the only problem with this series is that it's too rhythmic. I mean, you know that when something bad happens, that within the next 50 or 100 pages, something very good is going to happen that wipes out the negative losses that were just happened. And you know immediately following that something bad is going to happen. And you just get this wave constantly. And it starts to become predictable. Not the plot points, but the feeling that those plot points are going to give you. And once you figure that out, it takes a little bit of the fun out. And at least for me. So maybe I've taken the fun out for you, for both these books in the series. The first one being Pillars of the Earth. But I suspect you'll still love it because they're wonderful books. Next up was The Great Book of Amber. This is part of the... so this is the compilation of all 10 books in the Chronicles of Amber by Roger Zelazny. I predicted a 3 out of 5. I gave it a 1 out of 5, and it's the worst book that I read this month. And I did not even get close to reading all 10 of these things. I gave up after 2. I hated them, and this idea that I was going to punish myself and read 8 more of these novella-type books was driving me crazy. And it felt so good to just drop off this series and go, okay, I'm done. Nothing quite is like that. I don't know if you're like this. I get that way a lot with video games and movies and TV shows and books, where it's just this immense relief when you stop doing something you don't like. And that's what happened here. I couldn't connect with it. It's too old, and the writing style is too dated, and it makes these weird choices that I can't vibe with. This weird talking in this like 60s lingo, is it 70s or 60s? And then and then in the next sentence talking in this like very like formal royalty language, and it combines like sentence after sentence. It's so weird. The plot is just so random. I couldn't connect with anything about this series, and happy to give that one up. Then was The Pariah. This is book 1 of the Covenant of Steel series by Anthony Ryden. This was the buddy read that I did. I did not get a review out of this one, sadly, because I just got too busy. See the beginning of this video for why I was too busy, but I couldn't get around to it. But I predicted a 5 out of 5 because I love Anthony Ryan. Anthony Ryan has written one of my favorite books, Blood Song. But he followed it up by this book, Tower Lord, which is the sequel to Bloodsong, which I thought was horrible. And it's like, I kept looking at this going like, clearly Anthony Ryan has an enormous amount of skill in that head of his. And he just needs to pull it off again. And as I started The Pariah, I was like, he's done it again. He's done it again. This thing is awesome. And it was like Robin Hood, but darker. And from the perspective of not the leader of the band. And seeing this kind of more evil Robin Hood character leading this crew, I was all in. It was the buddy group, like Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of feeling of this band of criminals that all, they don't all get along, but they're working towards a common goal. And it was everything that I wanted. And then it went away and turned into a religious book. And not religious in like the Christianity thing, religious in the fantasy setting where it's this made up religion. And it just went down this path that I did not enjoy. I thoroughly disliked the second half of this book, but I love the first half so much that it just balances out to a 3 for me. And it just, there's no way I'm continuing on with this series because I know the direction it's going to go. It's going to continue on this religious theme. Hell, the series is named The Covenant of Steel, which is talking about the religious aspect of these books. And the band is done, right? Like, it gets split up, it's gone. And so were my hopes and dreams that happened there. But I'm definitely not giving up on Anthony Ryan. He's the only author I feel like that I've read where, it feels like I keep reading these stinkers or books that I'm not in love with, where I keep going like, I'm going to keep reading his books because I know he's awesome. I just want them all to click again like they did in Bloodsong or the first half of this book. And for the whole book this time, not just like part of it. So yeah, those are the books I read. There's not a lot. And next month, I fear that there's not going to be a lot next month either, because I'm reading some big old books. And I'll talk more about that in my video that's going to come out tomorrow. Not tomorrow for me, tomorrow for you. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, happy reading to you. Thanks again to all my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier and Librarian tier patrons: Anna G, CJ, Doust, Darren, JD, Jonathan, Nathan T, Nev's Book Channel, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, Ron Reich, Russell, Ryan L, Sydney Baker, 𝗂𝐶, Tahir, Tommy Rose, Zion, Anna, Andra, Blair, Brock, Evan, Joe UK, Kat Mick, Michael Sugarman, Sky, Tyler, and 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video, and if you want to watch some more content from my channel, click over here and I've got some good videos for you. Thanks so much.